G'day. In this leg of our Western road trip, we get to historic Winton, home of Waltzing Matilda.
The unofficial national anthem, Waltzing Matilda at the North Gregory Hotel.
Oh, yeah. In this episode, we listen to bush poetry at one of the local pubs, and we hit the Dinosaur Trail. Oh, it's a brisk morning in Winton. Yeah, so this is pretty cool in this laboratory. What do you think of that?
That's good. I really enjoyed that.
Absolutely huge party.
Absolutely huge. I'm not very good photogenic.
Nah, we've all got good heads for radio, so we're doing all right.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is just absolutely insane. So we left Buckhall about 9 o'clock this morning, so reasonably sort of leisurely start, but we decided just to have a cup of coffee and stop for some breakfast or brunch along the way. We had about 300 kilometres to get to Winton, so we thought we'd strike through. We stopped at Longreach for some breakfast, but nice sort of cafe. We grabbed some quite decent sort of fare for brunch, and a half decent flat white coffee in Longreach. It's been a pretty good drive through so far. The weather sort of clearing up a little bit, and we're expecting we'll spend a few nights in Winton before heading back to Longreach and then towards Emerald down the Caravan Gorge. We found the caravan park about 2 kilometres on the other side of Winton. The operator suggested we come back into the North Gregory Hotel to listen to some bush poetry, so we thought that and a beer sounded like good fun, and we headed back into town.
Australia's unofficial national anthem, Waltzing Matilda at the North Gregory Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Come a waltzing Matilda with me. Singing Waltzing Matilda at the tops of their voices. So it was pretty popular. Queensland troops took it with them to go to when they went to the Boer War as well, and sang it over there in South Africa. But Banjo Patterson pretty much forgot about the song. He sold the copyright to his publishers, Angus and Robertson. Big mistake. Forrest slunk from the Outlaws track. The Boo Book croaked a warning. Go back, go back, go back. It woke no answering echo in Morgan's blackened soul. Another fire and boil another billy. Our fathers toiled for bitter bread, while loafers thrived beside them. But food to eat and clothes to wear, their native land denied. So we must fly a rebel flag, as others did before us, and we must sing a rebel song and join in rebel chorus. We'll make the tyrants feel the sting of those that they would throttle. They needn't say the fault is ours, if blood should stain the wattle.
Oh, it's a brisk morning in Winton. There's a southeasterly breeze which is chilling the place off, but this morning we've come to the Age of Dinosaurs museum, and sort of we're doing the full tour. So we've turned up, we've checked in, and then we walk about 500 metres down to the fossil preparation laboratory. So we'll be starting a tour shortly where we'll get to see what they do to find and prepare the fossils, and then we've got a number of other activities just after that. But cool morning, and it's actually nice sitting here on the side of the shed, just getting out of the breeze a little bit and standing in the sun before we start the tour.
Now you are going to notice that Judy is the smallest of the three. She was a sub-adult or a teenager when she died. She wasn't fully grown. As for Anne and Trixie here, as we understand it, they were fully grown, but just like you and I are different, these guys would have been as well. So that comes down to...
Yeah, so this is pretty cool in this laboratory. They've showed us how to found and then prepared the fossils. And the fossils that you can see in the plaster cast, there's sort of like a foil, paper mache, and then plaster cast around to preserve them. And then when they get around to it, that's when they actually do some more work and try to discover what they've actually found. And in this room, we've actually got the vertebrae of Judy, who's a teenage sauropod, which is the long-necked, four-legged, long-necked dinosaurs. And the team here are mostly volunteers, and they get trained how to do it, and they spend some time volunteering, preparing some of these finds. So yeah, quite interesting, and apparently this is the largest laboratory of its type in the Southern Hemisphere. Yeah, quite fascinating. So we started at the reception, the visitors centre, and then we walked about 500 metres down to the laboratory for that part of the tour. Quite a pleasant walk along the jump up. The name around here for these flat top mountains that you see in and around the outback. What do you think of that?
That's good. I really enjoyed that.
So what we saw the baby, we saw an adult,
We saw a juvenile.
we saw a teenager.
Yeah.
But,
Crocodile?
Crocodile, so only a small crocodile, only 2 metres. And it had eaten a baby dinosaur, so they had that as well. Yeah, so quite fascinating.
Foraged on the lush vegetation that thrived during this time. Many species of sauropods browse through the open conifer forests. The 16-metre-long Winter Matilda, one of winter's smaller sauropods, could easily reach into the treetops. Dinosaurus is Australia's largest noble mythopod, and hence a menagerie of small two-legged dinosaurs that were common throughout the area. One of the smallest, a chicken-sized Celerosaur, is known from running footprints near Winton. The story belongs to David Elliott, founder of the Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum and a third-generation farmer in the district. David Elliott's discovery, which triggered unprecedented excitement.
The sandbank at this end of our Billabong. There is still evidence of that debris seen.
Oh yeah, I see.
Some of them don't.
Alright, so this is the part of our trackside.
We've been kicked out. So this is a life-size representation of Matilda, which is one of the fossilised sauropod remains that's been famous from this site and area. A massive sort of creature, and a range of the other statuettes on this walk are representations of some of the dinosaurs from some of the fossils that they've found in the area. But the thing that's remarkable to me is just how well they've done, and and sort of how we owe things to guys like David Elliott and the other people who have sort of had the foresight and the tenacity to just keep pushing through to get these sites recognised and get something made out of it all. And I remember the first time I sort of came out to Winton in previous job in a previous life, and the local mayor was talking about this find, so it must have been about 99, 2000. And what a great tourist attraction it would be, along with the science of the whole event. And yeah, not so much sceptical, but this consideration about whether you could actually make something of it, whether people would actually come to visit dinosaurs out at Winton and Outback Winton. And it's all become a reality, and it's a fantastic attraction, and it's well worth coming to have a look. And you could easily spend, this is a half day, probably 2 or 3 hours that we've spent here.
Easy, yeah, so far.
Well, that was pretty good. We paid for the VIP pass, which is for today, and for the Lark Quarry Stampede exhibition, which is in a different site, well out of town. And it's a credit to the people who first identified the opportunity and sort of found the fossils. And they're setting up the Age of Dinosaurs sort of museum. There's already a number of buildings across a couple of different locations. So you turn up at the main location. There's a laboratory in a slightly separate location, about a 500-metre walk from the entrance.
It's a nice walk too.
Yeah, and then you come back to the entrance, do a little film presentation, and you sort of see some of the fossilized remains of Matilda, of Banjo, of Alex, and I can't even remember what the other one is called. And when you've done that, you jump onto a little sort of golf cart train, and they take you out to a site where there's footprints from another site which they've brought in from nearly 80 kilometres away.
Anyway, it's well worth going.
It's well worth going. It is well worth going. Such a shame they've lost so much of the historic memorabilia of Waltzing Matilda in that fire. They've done a great job rebuilding everything. Good local museum items as well. Well worth a drop in. We only spent an hour there. That was pretty much it for us. Just to show the arena. Before you can take a breath with the pressure around. One of blokes on the road like me.
There once was a jolly swagman camped by a billabong under the shade of the coolabah tree, and he stood.
Absolutely huge, Barmy.
Absolutely huge.
Shot of you with a mouth that's oh, it's a cool morning in Winton at the Winton Wanderers Caravan Park, just out on the edge of town. One of the things here is that the local fruit and veggie guy comes in sort of first thing in the morning. We sort of saves people sort of a trip to do that. Not that we mind the trip into town.
I'm not very good photogenic, but
No, we've all got good heads for radio, so we're doing all right.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm Paul, that's Aussie.
Paul and Aussie.
Yep.
And you guys are the local grocers? And
Yeah,
you do all the caravan
fruit shop in
parks?
town. Yeah, we do them all, yeah.
Yeah, terrific.
Every morning,
Yeah,
Monday to
excellent.
Sunday. We don't do Sunday mornings, we go to church.
Good.
Righto, let's go and wake some more people up. Thank you.
What you cooking?
Spaghetti and meatballs
Spaghetti and meatballs in.
in the
Try it again. What are you cooking?
spaghetti and meatballs
In? Spaghetti and meatballs in the eco pot.
in the eco pot.
Alright, let's try it again. What are you cooking?
Spaghetti and meatballs in the eco pot.
You're really bad with the lights, aren't you? Paul's not real good in the morning. What are you cooking?
Dinner.
This morning we're going out to the other part of the dinosaur experience near Winton. This is the Dinosaur Stampede. It's at the Lark Quarry Conservation Park area. It's about 110 kilometres out of Winton. So we've got a little bit of a drive there and back. So we'll see what the road conditions are like. And on the way we decided that we'd stop in at the bakery at Winton and see how flat white goes.
Not bad.
It's actually okay. We're just crossing where the free camp is at Winton, and the road's closed out there. We'd heard that. We'd anticipated that the weather was going to be a little bit dodgy in the lead up, and on these black soil plains out in Western Queensland, you've got to be careful once you come off the road, and if you break through that crust in the soil, you'll go down to the axles, and it's not that pleasant sort of digging down in these areas. So that was quite interesting, and I suppose two parts of it have been just interesting hearing about the stampede and what they think happened, and the different types of dinosaurs in the stampede. So three of them, little sort of angry chickens, sort of a medium sized thing, which again was sort of plant eater. And then a bigger thing, which is sort of a bit looked a bit like a sort of a bit of a huge emu type character, and they also have found some prints of something which is even bigger again, which they think predated the stampede, and that's sort of one of those sort of big, sort of more terrifying type things. The thing which caused the stampede, I think, is more like Banjo from the Australian Age of Dinosaur exhibition that we saw yesterday. The fires here are pretty significant, actually. They're just a bit annoying. But yeah, that was interesting. I think the other thing which is always interesting to me is... There's another one for the blooper reel. Not only that they were here, but how they even found it. So, you know, a stockman who was out looking for opals found something which looked a little bit like a big chicken's foot. You know, he showed some people, they thought he might have had something, nothing happened for 5 years. Then they went looking, found something else, and then nothing happened for 5 years. And then over time they suddenly started to realise that they had something a little bit more significant. People were coming out looking for megafauna. They came out to have a look out here, and then sort of realised that they were onto a little bit more. You know, some more expertise came into it, discovered that they had something reasonably significant. Then the story of how they tried to preserve it and how they've mucked it up and how walls fell on the exhibition. Damage, even when they were trying to protect it with plastic while they're doing building around it, and then stuff caught fire from welding. So yeah, significant story, not just the stampede, and it's the only sort of stampede that they've found evidence of its type in the world. Way out here, 110 kilometres from Winton, but also the story of how they've sort of developed it into something that people like us can come and see. So yeah, well worth coming to have a look, and the scenery around the place is sort of quite stark, and you know, we're sort of doing a short walk because we've got to go back into Winton this afternoon, but there's a larger walk up onto that jump up that would get you a pretty good view. Thanks for joining Next Level Oz. We head back to Emerald and we stop in at Fairburn Dam, where Paula spent some of her childhood years while the dam was being built.
I can remember one year Dad was Father Christmas.
He was too skinny then to be Father Christmas.
Oh, I know, he had to wear padding.
We then head south, do some more free camps, dodge a little bit of weather, and then hit the magnificent Carnarvon Gorge. Again, thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, 100% of our YouTube advertising revenue goes to charity.